So today I watched Raw on Netflix. Well, no, I didn't. I didn't watch it on Netflix. I live in South Africa, so I don't get Raw on Netflix. But I watched the episode, and it's overall I did enjoy it. First and foremost, just the look and feel of the show this is the best that Raw has looked for me, my personal opinion, in a long time. Right, the way the ring looked, the way the referees were dressed, the camera work and the visuals, the the graphics, like the moving graphics for when they were announcing matches and all that stuff. I loved all of that. Just I loved all of it. It was really good. The beginning part where they just talked about the history of professional wrestling, what it is, why people love it. Because this was meant to be WWE breaking back into the mainstream. So they're gonna be met with a whole bunch of new people who aren't maybe don't understand wrestling, don't know what it is, and they're trying to understand it. So that this is a great introductory thing for them to make them just like, yeah, this is what this is. This is what this is. It's a whole thing of a whole long running, never ending story with heroes and villains. That's it. Just like anything else, and it's been going on for a very long time, and it's been an integral part of, well, obviously, American companies, so American culture, but even global culture because professional wrestling exists on just about every continent. So, so that was something I definitely appreciated. The Rock's, the return. It was there's really nothing to say. He came out, he did his bit as because he's The Rock. But uh, didn't enjoy it as much as I would have because what we got at the very beginning of last year, where he became the final boss, and this was probably that was his best character work in so long, and he was just so viscerally terrifying, and just the way he just tortured Cody Rhodes last year was just. And now they're all hugging, and he's like, "Hey, Cody Rhodes, thank you, brother. You've been carrying this company, even though I tried to take your WrestleMania main event from you, and I tried to, and I whipped you with a belt in front of your mother, and I also tried to stop you from ever being able to compete for that title that you're currently holding. But okay, whatever. Moved on. Then we had Tribal Combat. I was really happy that this was the opening match, not the main event. Seth Rollins and CM Punk needed to be the main event. I'm glad they did that. We'll talk about that in a bit. So, Tribal Combat match. The action. You see, the thing about like Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. The thing about Roman Reigns matches is that they always take a while to pick up. So if the match is 20 minutes, you'll have to wait about 10 minutes before the match really like ramps up, and and that's not too much of a knock, but it's just sometimes I'd like a personal feud like this to just like kick off from the get go, but you gotta build up to that story being told. So there was some great interferences. The Bloodline on Solo's side interfered on his part. Jacob Fatu is phenomenal as always. Sami Zayn and Jimmy Uso came out, helped Roman Reigns. That was good. Roman won in the end, but at some point Kevin Owens got involved, which shocked me because like, oh, okay. And I know that he absolutely hates Roman because just the 4 years of hell he put him through. But him getting involved and trying to actually help Solo beats Roman was just like, wow, okay. But then Cody got involved as well, so that was a nice little continuation of their story that's been going on for the last couple of months. Due to Cody deciding to side to help Roman, and then Kevin Owens just losing his mind over that. So that was a nice brief continuation of their story. So like I said, Roman won, and I wish he didn't. I actually wish that Solo had won this match because Solo Roman's the problem with this feud is like Roman has not had a proper redemption arc for his 4 years of tyranny over the WWE, over the entire company, by the way. But first of all, before I continue, I acknowledge him. He is my tribal chief, but he's a monster and a terrorist, and he needed a proper redemption arc if he was going to be a babyface now. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. I don't know what they're going to do with Solo now, but one thing I've learned about this current era of WWE and wrestling in general is just let things play out, you know. And unfortunately, this same criticism also applies to the next match, which was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the women's world title. This feud, Rhea Ripley won, and that was the right decision in my opinion. You know, she's just the bigger star, more overall popular, and obviously I'm a Rhea fan, so I go with her. But I want to give my flowers fully to Liv Morgan. She did great with with her reign as champion. You know, she accomplished a whole lot, and you know, I hope she has a couple more reigns in her career. You know, but yeah, this feud has a lot of the same problems that the Roman and Solo feud, and also the MJF. If you're an AEW fan, the MJF and Adam Cole feud in AEW that just finished, and the problem is the hero of the story is an irredeemable monster. And the reason that the villain of the story is coming after them or is doing these bad things to them is because of what the hero did to them in the past, right? So in the case of Rhea Ripley, again, I love Rhea. She's my favorite women's wrestler alongside Asuka. But the character of Rhea Ripley was again a monster who she tortured Liv Morgan, literally just dislocated her shoulder, tore it from its socket. She tormented Raquel Rodriguez as well. And Dominic Mysterio, you know, Dirty Dom, screw him. And she's before Dominic joined the Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley, she tormented that man. She would beat that man up every chance she got. Until eventually, I guess, I don't know, he became a masochist and he just developed some Stockholm syndrome and joined up with her at Judgment Day and then turned on his own father. So that's the storyline. So him turning on her. So, and it's like throughout this entire feud, I don't think they did acknowledge it, but they didn't acknowledge it to the extent where they painted her as, where they really acknowledged that every ounce of misery and suffering and pain that she's experienced over the last couple of months was something that was all that she brought that all on herself, you know, and that's something that's bugged me about this feud, and frankly, I'm just glad it's over. You know, I think Liv should, if you know, transfer window and all that. I think Liv should probably head to SmackDown, and you know, be part of that main event scene. The women's division there it's kind of like it's been in a very odd place right now, so it's kind of like, you know, I hope that she can do pretty well over there. I just want Rhea and Liv Morgan to be permanently separated for a very long time. They should not interact with each other. They shouldn't say each other's names. Nothing on screen for a very long time, please. Uh, we had Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre. You know, I love how over Jey Uso is, man. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers over the last couple years, you know, and it's phenomenal to see him in this position where he just has the entire building eating out of the palm of his hands. And if you had never watched WWE before, you would go into that match thinking he was the biggest star ever. And I loved it. You know, it's like I loved it. And of course, he was in there with Drew McIntyre, who also just wrestler of the year for 2024 because what he was able to do with the CM Punk feud, when for the most of it, CM Punk was injured, and you know, this year, like, he for real needs to have, you need to give that man a proper world title reign. He needs to get some like actual motion. In fact, in my opinion, I think if it's not going to be Kevin Owens, if it's not going to be Randy Orton, it should be Drew McIntyre who dethrones Cody Rhodes. That's who I think. I think Drew McIntyre should be the one who dethrones Cody Rhodes. Like I think that would just be perfect. And those two, they got all kinds of history. Going back to 2010 and so they're both kind of like chosen one type wrestlers who had to go away from WWE for a while after just not getting anywhere and then coming back and becoming stars. So that was a great deal. That was a great thing for them. Oh yeah, by the way, Jay won. The match wasn't really. The match I just kind of lost interest half the way. I don't know because I don't know. It just felt off for some reason. But Jay won it in the end, and Drew's whole thing where he's in a similar situation to Kevin Owens where he's just kind of lost his mind and he's just going after people who have wronged him. So I guess we'll see where that goes. Uh, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. My feelings for Hulk Hogan are very complicated. I am well aware of pretty much everything that he has said and done, and what others have said that he has said and done, and just I'm not going to mention other things that have happened in the last couple of months. If you know, you know. If you don't, you can look it up. I'm not going to discuss that here because I'm not I'm not going to talk about it. But I don't know how they sent him out there and they didn't expect that reaction. Or maybe they did. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, or how he didn't expect that reaction because yeah, look, like I can respect and appreciate what Hulk Hogan meant to WWE and what he meant to professional wrestling and maybe even pop culture as a whole. At one point, that man basically carried the entire industry on his back, and I'm probably not a wrestling fan if Hulk Hogan doesn't exist, if Hulkamania never happens. But in the year 2025, it really is best to just not use him, or use him a bit more strategically, because that was so uncomfortable. That was uncomfortable to watch, and I feel so bad for Jimmy Hart because he had to stand there alongside him and just and keep a smile on his face holding the American flag. Like, I feel so bad for Jimmy Hart. I felt so bad for Jimmy Hart. But yeah, I moved on from that. And then, of course, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Great match. Seth is obviously turning heel. Punk winning, I think, was probably the right choice. I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy or how the story is going to progress, but right now, it was a great match, and yeah, it's funny because, it's funny. Like everyone looks back, and they love Punk, they love Summer of Punk, his world title run. I was 11, 12 years old at the time, so I was a Cena fan. I'm still a Cena fan. I didn't talk about him, so we'll talk about him in a second. I was a Cena fan. So I was like, I don't like CM Punk. And as a teenager, long after he left, I didn't appreciate him, and I didn't. I'm not gonna say I was the corporate guy siding with WWE because I was firmly in something of an anti WWE space mentally, but because I was just like, yeah, indie stars are great, but I've come to appreciate him a lot more, and his return to WWE has been nothing short of great. So all I gotta say about it is thank you, Jack Perry. But anyway, John Cena, I did mention him. I completely skipped him for some reason. I don't know why I forgot. John Cena. Triple H, if you're watching this video, give us Super Cena. I don't care what he says. He can be all humble and whatever he wants. I want Super Cena, alright? He needs to take Cody Rhodes, and he needs to take Gunther, and he needs to stack them on top of each other and walk out with both world titles at WrestleMania. Screw the Royal Rumble, skip the Royal Rumble, skip the Elimination Chamber. He just walks into Mania. He's the champion, and he goes down to NXT, beats, whether it's Trick Williams or Oba Femi, whoever wants, he beats them. He takes the U.S. title. Screw LA Knight and Shinsuke. He can just take the U.S. title. He can take the IC. Take all the belts. All right. I need one more. It's his last year ever. John Cena is retiring. You understand me? I need to see him not only break that 17th world title, get that 17th world title, but also get that Grand Slam, and just win all the belts. But in all seriousness, I'm really gonna look forward. I'm really looking forward to the retirement tour. I'm just gonna appreciate, having John Cena around for one final year. As a wrestler, it's it's crazy to me. 'Cause, like, the Undertaker is my favorite wrestler, and obviously he appeared on this show too. But when I finally got around to watching WWE properly, he wasn't around as often, or I would miss him because I didn't have access to the full show. And John Cena was there, and in the absence of the Undertaker, John Cena became my guy. So him being gone, him retiring, hearing that is just, it's not going to be the same. It's not. It really isn't. So he's in my Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore is the Undertaker. It's John Cena, it's Rey Mysterio, and Edge, with an honorable mention of Randy Orton, who I'm again grateful to have back. Which he came back around the same time CM Punk did. So after like a career-ending injury. So, and I've also just been kind of enjoying him, but he's out right now for storyline reasons. But yeah, Raw on Netflix. I think personally I'll give it. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I think I give it maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. But I do look forward to seeing future episodes and how just the show and the story progresses. And I really, really hope that this works out for the company, works out for us as fans, and works out for Netflix because they paid them $5 billion for this. So this really needs to work out for everybody.